It's Christmas Eve morning. So it's December 24th, 2021. I turn on the news now. I flip through to look to see. I've been trying, I go between should I be consistent and routine like with watching a station so I get a pattern established, an algorithm of communication? Should I jump around the stations to get a healthy, sample? Again, I go back. It's hit or miss. But this morning, there were a lot of commercials on the channel 2 that I normally pattern for consistency of message. Thinking perhaps there's other stations I might have missed something. And now I hear the humans in my living arrangement, being Linda and Lou, they say the weirdest things. Like they say, oh, that's so left wing. Oh, that's so right wing. Oh, that's so something called racist. Oh, that's you and your Fox network. I'm like, none of these things make sense to me. They don't. I mean, there's a network called Fox that happens to be the one that has this message this morning. But the background message of what the humans are talking about and some intellect that they connect with inside of a larger matrix system where they connect with cognitive ability and what divine inspiration is writing as their subliminal sublingual script. It is unclear to me where and how they were built. If we do like Santa's workshop in some heavenly divine spiritual space, there are things that the humans say that I am like an alien in alienation going like, now, why would the divine build you to say things like that, creature? And what could you possibly mean? They really sometimes are a market miracle, but in headspace that has warped into something that I'm really frightened of, quite frankly. I mean, I'm not frightened of the two of them necessarily for attacking in a physical space, but attacking my mental space, yeah, sometimes what they put together and how they remember things, that kind of attack, that kind of biological attack is really frightening because it's a psychological damage that that is just, it shifts. But anyway, long story short is this morning on this Fox News network that I hear people speak of in this weird way, which I don't quite grasp why there's such a derogatory. I mean, both Linda and Lou, they call themselves Democrats. So I used to call myself a Republican. Now I'm an independent. But they say something along the lines of derogatory for this network, which I don't get. But this is the story this morning, telling this actual truth, which what my whole thing is that I watch the news clip and then I hear these new residents of some sort without proper residency papers and without a purpose here, while we're already under invasion and attack. I listen to these people like aggressive, it's passive aggressiveness that they're here and they expect now that the North Americans are going to take care of them. I'm a little confused how you go into somebody else's space and demand them to take care of you and to make room for you and make space for you. It's, as a mother, I'm it's unnerving, but
Will be possible under President Biden's Build Back Better bill.
That's right. It means so much to so many people. And our Jessica Formoso explains why undocumented immigrants are very concerned.
The road is not very clear as to whether or not we're going to be able to see the other side of the tunnel.
Under the nearly $2 trillion spending bill, at least $100 billion will go to immigration-related issues.
no. $2 trillion. I'm 43 years old. I've lived in New York the entire time. I have gotten a very mild public education through the schooling system. There's been no trade school, no trade craft, no, I've done hard labor, I've done construction, I've lifted lumber. I mean, I've done things to earn wage just as these people who were not here originally claim. Unfortunately, for physicality wise, I just don't have the body. My body's more, it's becoming almost crippled in this environment as it changes. But I've done these things, like hard labor and carrying wood and on construction sites and grabbing tools for the real craftsmen and professionals on the jobs, building homes or remodeling, renovation of homes. But there's been no work that has been sustainable and enough for me to even earn my own residency permanently and safety and security socially for my children. Second to that is my children have also entered the education system here in North America in the state of New York. And they also have not been taught skill, craft, and a guideline into their future where they're going to land. So they have a direction as to like a pinpoint accurate laser focus as to what they're going to be when they grow up. There's been none of that. Instead, what there's a lot of is nothingness in the time that they spend within these large school institutions in the state. And then we hear about this and all the importance of this that's going on where they're spending all of the money inside the government here. It's a little confusing why we're not being taken care of or even directed into how to contribute back to the main system, but yet they're fighting and they're promoting alternate, like, devious, disguised agenda items that derail the actual taking care of the people who have the residency requirements and needs at the moment. It's like they're pushing up to take the time in Congress and the Senate and whatever away from us. And I don't know what the motivation is. But it's devastating on level of living.
For nearly 7 million undocumented people living in the U.S. since January 1st, 2011. It would also protect them from deportation.
I feel like they do this to pull on people's heartstrings. But the thing is that here's my heartstring. I have to take care of that at some point. Whether I know some people are like, oh, that's so selfish. No, it's not. Because if you don't have people anchored here, stable and able to give of themselves and take care of themselves, then there's no way that they're going to be able to sustain and continue taking on any of this stuff and humanitarian work. But it seems like that's not even a thought anymore.
However, the protections and permits would expire in 2031.
Whenever 2031 comes, they will be in limbo all over again.
That is why for weeks, undocumented immigrants and groups like Make the Road New York have been rallying outside Senator Chuck Schumer's home, pressuring him to ensure that the budget reconciliation package includes a path to citizenship.
Schumer.
This is inside New York. They are pressuring and aggressively going after the leadership here. Again, I'm not going into how is Senator Schumer a senator, just like I have the LIU guy over here. But again, I've got all of this pushing up like guerrilla warfare on the local, I guess, land managers of sorts, or, I mean, the local leadership that's there for a reason, whatever it is that they're doing. I don't quite understand why there's so much of this pushing up aggressively on, I mean, it's civil disobedience is what they're doing, but they're masking it as if it's acceptable and allowable. And I don't see any pushback. Like, I see a lot of rallies and protests and really angry hate speech at the at the larger governing body from these things. I just don't see the shutdown of that, because I don't understand why and how they got so much free speech in order to take services and protection away from the residents that actually live here by breaking the law and getting in. I mean, they're taking away from what's native in America, which is really scary. And I don't understand why or how there's not more groups pushing back going, no, this is unacceptable. You've crossed the line.
Schumer will be able to move that piece or the manager's amendment forward and make it a reality. If that is the case, like, there will be a pathway to citizenship.
But right now, things are not looking good. The Senate parliamentarian just ruled that they cannot use the huge budget bill to add in immigration reform. And that's not all. The entire bill is now in the hands of one man, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who has said he will vote against it. Congresswoman Nicole of Staten Island is also against the bill, telling Fox 5 in part, quote, "Not only does this misguided bill grant amnesty for tens of millions of illegal immigrants at a cost of $100 billion, it rewards those who broke our laws with free college and benefits that should be reserved for American citizens." Meanwhile, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer revealed Wednesday he's spoken with Manchin. Schumer has promised to hold a vote on the bill in early January. In the newsroom, I'm Jessica Formoso, Fox 5 News.
Well, let's talk some sports now. The Knicks were home taking on the Washington Wizards.
And Bronx native.
It's really frightening where the direction of New York is going and how it got to this point. I mean, to be 43 and not even have a fruitful career, not have something to, not to have a team to join or in and help contribute in making phone calls or whatever it is that the residents of New York are supposed to be doing or that do together. It's really frightening how socially isolated it's been while all of this other stuff has become some kind of priority. And there's like, where's the inroads? I mean, I walk Bayside Station, just this one zip code, each day, watching the daily changes and trying to figure out where to fit in and how to even, how do I make some form of stipend to afford myself, to afford clothes, to afford a better jacket, because it's now getting cold and the lining is ripped. It's not a jacket for really outside. Like, these are the things that go through my head. But it looks like on the news, the agenda that they're pushing is for taking on new problematic situations that will cause future problems, rather than pushing back to the future problems and dealing with what has been almost forgotten of or has taken some kind of a backseat priority, but should be the mainstay priority, since they've gone unaddressed for so long. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, Broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. On a different station, they, for the first time ever, they mentioned this thing, which I don't know what it is. It says NORAD, NORAD. They had a room full of people dressed in what I call cat's pajamas, but the, I guess, combat motif, and Santa hats, and they're answering phones. Today, they apparently will take phone calls the one day from the children about Santa. So I didn't know that they do that, so maybe I will try to have Anthony call today to touch base. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.